Amazing parenting. We empower parents to positively impact their children.
Hello parents, Grace here with Amazing Parenting. Here at Amazing Parenting, we help and support and guide all parents, whether your children are newborn, primary school, secondary school, university and beyond. We have over 200 videos on tips and ideas on how to maintain and build a strong bond between parents and their children. So if you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe. Share these videos with at least one other parent, 5 if you can, and talk about what you're learning, talk about what you're hearing on these videos. Yes, you can share, yes, you can give a like, yes, you can do all those things, but talk about these videos that you're watching. Talk about them with your children, talk about them with other parents. So let's go ahead and do that. It's free to subscribe, so again, why wouldn't you? Okay, continuing our theme on, the pressures of our children being on social media. Okay, let's get straight into it. So another pressure of our children being on social media is being exposed to inappropriate content. Because there is no filter for children on social media. Yes, you can put your parental controls on, which is brilliant. You should have those on your children's phones. So if they look at something or upload something, your phone gets an alert. So those should already be already on your phone as well. But there are things on social media that get through those gaps, where you've put your securities on your phone, on your child's phone, and they get exposed to content that is inappropriate. Violence, sexual content, harmful trends, toxic influences, people talking, trash on the internet, and your children are hearing and absorbing what they're hearing and seeing. So we must be really mindful on what is being filtered through to our children, concerning inappropriate content. So we must be really mindful that, not everybody out there is for your child. They're not for children. We must be really mindful of that. So the content that is coming through on their phone, even adverts that come through that are not appropriate for children. And you may say, well, there's a watershed time when certain things come on after 9 o'clock. But if you look at even adverts, when your children are home from school, they're not really appropriate for children. So we've got to be mindful and make sure our children are not exposed to inappropriate contact. Number 7, continuing on from where we was before, comparison culture. We touched a little bit on before, where they're constantly comparing themselves. That culture of comparing. Social media encourages content that is constant to compare. Oh, I look like her, I don't look like her. Oh, her eyelashes are longer than mine. Oh, he's got a 6-pack, I haven't. All those compare. We have to be on it and make sure our children are not comparing themselves with other children on social media or other people on social media. You might have a child who's 14 and she's comparing herself to a 22-year-old girl. So that comparison is about, oh, I want to look like that, or why don't I look like that, or she looks like this, or that constant, compare. We must be mindful as parents that we are not allowing our children to get sucked into the culture of compare. My hair is not as long as hers, my hair is not as curly as hers, my hair is not. That compare culture, we must be really mindful of it. That appearance, how do I look? Where they are, children should be thinking about, the qualities and character of themselves, not so much how they look. And of course, we want our children to look nice. They should look nice and smell nice and have, decent clothes on. But when it comes to comparing themselves with each other, that's when it becomes dangerous. That lifestyle, of that she looks like this, he looks like that. Okay, let's continue. Pressure to create an online identity. It makes you feel that constant makes you anxious always, that to create, I've got to have a certain identity. I've got to look a certain way online, which is different to how your child really is. They have how they are at home and how they are online, that online identity. We've got to be very careful that our children are not living a split personality, online and offline. We must be mindful of that. That judgment, being judged for behaving a certain way, looking a certain way online, and then at home they don't look like that, or at school they don't look like that. So we must be mindful of our children not having or being mindful of having that identity, different identity online. Okay, now this one is really, it goes under the radar, because what social media does, it constantly wants you to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. It wants your children, and not even your children, people, to stay online, scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, just whiling away time, wasting time scrolling. So we must make sure that addictive scroll pattern, our children are not in it. Like we said in the previous video, that they pick up their phones with a purpose. What are you picking up your phone for? This falls straight into that category, because if you're picking up your phone just to scroll, then that should make you think, do I really need to be doing that, or should I be doing something else? So that design where, adverts and things popping up to make our children constantly stay on their phones, scrolling aimlessly. It affects sleep, like we said before, it affects focus, it affects their moods, because as they're scrolling, they're seeing so many things every 10, 15, 30 seconds, and that's affecting how they behave, it's affecting their mood because of what they're allowing through that eye gate. So it's really important that we are mindful of what are our children just scrolling for? What are they just doing on their social media? And then lastly, we're looking at mental health struggles. The pressure of being on social media, it can create mental health struggles, mental health issues, mental health decline. Yes, even in children. So we've really got to be mindful of how much time are my children spending on the phone and why. If you have an older child and they're on the phone for business, they create content and they receive business from it, that's different. That's using social media wisely. So we've got to be careful of not just taking the phones away and saying all social media is bad, all phones are bad. But your teenager or your young child, your adult child may be doing something on their phone that is generating work, that is generating money, that is generating, good feelings, good vibes that are going out there, which that's what we want our children to be doing. So we must make sure that they're not on the social media that's affecting their mental health, and it's anxiety, depression, loneliness, stress, emotional overwhelm, emotional overload. That's what being on social media will eventually cause for our children, and not just for our children, for ourselves. So it's really important that we are making sure why our children are on the phone, and getting them to think about why they are on the phone. Because mental health is an issue that doesn't just happen today and finish today, it is continuous. And if it is not stopped, if it's not addressed, if it's not conquered, it will then conquer the person who's facing the mental health issues, the mental health struggles. And if your child is going through mental health issue as a child, think what's going to happen when you compound that as an adult, when they become adults. So it's so important that we are really following up our children when it comes to social media and the pressures it brings to our children being on social media. Okay, so let's end it there, and remember, all parents can be great parents. It is a journey and we will get there. God bless you, and thanks for watching.
Amazing parenting. We empower parents to positively impact their children.